I'm Rachel Johnson with UCSB Athletics, here with JD of the men's basketball team. Let's go meet a Gaucho. I'm here with JD from the men's basketball team.
Hi, Rachel. How are you?
Good. How are you? Tell me a little about yourself.
I'm from a very local area, from about an hour south of here, Thousand Oaks, Oak Park, California. And Santa Barbara had always been a dream school of mine, so I really, from a young age, was always familiar with the school and kind of what was going on with Santa Barbara basketball. I think I'm a pretty funny guy, honestly, and fun-loving, and love to have a good time, but also can be serious when I have to be. And I think that having that balance of those two is a very important thing in life. So I think that on the court, a lot of my teammates could agree with that. But yeah, I'd say that's a little bit about myself.
Being a funny guy in the locker room, how is that going to transition as your role increases on the court this year?
That's a great question. I think that's definitely something that I've had to think about as I've come into this season. But I think that that's come easier than most people would think. Surrounding myself with guys on last year's team, especially Gabe, has really helped me transition into that role more easily. And I mean that by, even though I wasn't in a position where I was contributing on the floor last year or in the year prior to that, I always kept myself into the game or into the team and whatever was going on. And being around someone like Gabe helped me do that, on and off the court especially. So having a great preseason and summer with him and being around, someone that talented kind of makes you, drags you along on that process that is necessary to be a vital player on this team. So, that relationship has been crucial for that.
I noticed both you and Gabe are wearing dog tags for a great Gaucho fan. Can you tell me the story behind those?
Sure. I'm also wearing a wristband, and they both say Luke Strong on both of them. And Luke was my best friend and one of my greatest friends I've ever had. He was someone that I've known since I was his senior in high school, and was someone that I met at the conclusion of my senior year when his older sister, Taryn, came up to me and asked me if I would meet him for the first time. And little did I know that, he was one of my biggest fans and supporters when I was at high school at Oak Park. And he was the funniest little guy. I just loved getting to know him that year, and it was right before he went into his year of isolation for a bone marrow transplant that he had when he was about 6 years old, if I remember correctly. And throughout that year that he was at CHLA, the Children's Hospital, I would go and see him, and I met the rest of his family, Taryn being his older sister, Stacy, Matt, and Shane, and their entire family. And he was one of the first people I wanted to tell when I committed to Santa Barbara and, knew I was going to be coming back home to play basketball. So he was always a big fan of mine, and, not being able to have him see me play in the last few years had been hard, but bringing a teammate of mine like Gabe along for that ride was huge. And he was a very vital part of that relationship, and a lot of the team, honestly. Everyone had gotten to know him, all of my other teammates in my class, but also other classes. And unfortunately, he lost his battle just about a month ago. And it was a very tough thing to go through, but having such a great team and supporting group around me, made it all much easier. And he's been a constant motivation for me throughout my entire process here at Santa Barbara, especially on the court. And, I'm looking to dedicate a lot of my season to him, and I know that other guys are as well.
For the past 2 years, you've had to sit and wait on the sidelines for your chance to play. How difficult was it to wait? And now that the time has come, how excited are you for the opportunity?
Obviously it was very difficult at first. You want to come in and play right away, and that's kind of every freshman's dream, to play college basketball, and every kid's dream, and I know it was mine since I was really young. And I came in hurt. I had broken my foot, so I did have to medically sit out about the first 7 months of my career here anyway. And that kind of made it a lot easier, having that almost as a crutch to kind of accept that, I wasn't going to play, so now I'm hurt, I might as well get myself healthy anyway. And then recovering from that injury after my freshman year and playing my first season last year and not even getting to wear the uniform hardly once or twice was extremely difficult. And I felt it more, obviously, once the season started about this time, seeing my teammates get ready for games that, I wasn't even going to be dressed or sitting on the sideline for. And it took a lot out of me, and I think that for a good amount of time there, I lost a little bit of that kind of drive and fire to keep going and to continue to fight because, you didn't really have any reason to. And I went through it with a good teammate of mine named Joey Goodrow, who also was in a similar situation. And unfortunately, he's not playing this season. And he was able to really kind of stick with me and kind of continue to keep that drive in me through that tough time and said, motivated me into saying, hey, you can do this. This is going to be your opportunity. And also just being able to stay around the team and learn from older guys like John Green and Mike. And I remember when Mike wasn't allowed to play the first game last season, he stayed home on the road trip. And obviously I was here as well. And we had about 4 or 5 days to just work out together. And it was just me, Mike, and Coach Stock, and who had also stayed back on the trip. And I remember thinking how cool that was that we got to do that. It was just me and arguably the best player on the team last year in the gym, several days a week, while all the rest of the guys were getting to go on TV and play, and we were in the gym, consistently grinding. And I remember him kind of telling me, you're going to get your chance. And I remember other past players, such as Justin Burks, DeJuan Smith, and several others reached out to me and just kind of said, hey, you're going to get on that court. You need to stick with it. So to answer your second question, excited? Yeah, I'm very excited. It's been a long time. I think I've been patient, but also, trusting in the process and waited my turn. I've never been one to be upset about situations that I was in. I know that if I work hard, it will come. It might just take longer than I expected, but, regardless of whatever my role is on this team this year, I'd be happy to just help our team win in any way we can. No matter how small that is or how great, I'm all about just making sure we have a good season.
As we get a chance to see you on the court, can you give us a preview of what your game looks like?
I've been kind of played a lot of positions in my career. I started off not being as tall as all my teammates actually, which is surprising. So I started off kind of playing as a point guard when I was young and kind of grew into a bigger body as I got older. So I'd say the biggest part of my game is my versatility. And I think that, that's something I'm going to be able to bring to this team this year, and just my sort of strength on the court and be able to kind of go in there and, pound it inside against a smaller guy, but also take a bigger guy outside and hopefully use some of my quickness. And, I'd say a player I'd like to model my game after would be like a Draymond Green, as someone who, is more of a point forward type of player, but also isn't afraid to get in there and, get dirty with the big guys.
Coming out of high school, you took an unusual path going to prep school before coming here. Can you tell us a little about that?
Yeah, so like I said, being from around here, I went to high school at Oak Park and did all 4 years there and graduated from there in 2013, and didn't feel like I was living up to my full potential as a player at that point, and was looking for something more out of my career. I felt like I definitely had more in the tank, I guess you could say. So I went to Phillips Exeter Academy, and that's in Exeter, New Hampshire, which is about an hour north of Boston. And it was obviously very different than anything I'd ever experienced living in Southern California. But it was something that I was excited to take on the challenge of doing, and stepping out of my comfort zone as a player and challenging myself. And I had a great coach out there, Jay Tilton, who really taught me a lot about the game and really showed me how serious college basketball is. Made me really appreciate the grind and the process, and which I think is more of just an East Coast mentality than something out here. But I felt like I added a lot to my game in that 9 months that I was there. So after going to Exeter and going through that rigor of a prep school season in the NEPSAC, which is one of the best high school leagues in the country, and we won a championship there, the second championship in school history. It was an amazing experience. But I was ready to come back home and come back to that beautiful Santa Barbara weather that you can't beat. So it was an easy decision.
Playing for such a great and experienced coach who's been here for 19 years, how has he influenced you and the team as a whole?
Coach Williams has been obviously a big part of my process here at Santa Barbara. And I think he obviously gets a lot of credit, but he deserves most of that credit. He's a very fair coach that I don't think everyone can really say about their college coach or any coach at any level. He really is, looking for the guys that can help him win, regardless of what they do well or what they don't do well, but is really fair in that aspect. And I think, obviously, I'm in a situation because of that. I think that he is a deserving guy of all the praise he gets, but is great with his players. he knows when to kind of rein them in and also let them go, and is this very serious guy and runs his practices really well. And I remember that from the first day I visited. Seeing those guys practice, I was blown away for sure, and it was nothing like I'd ever seen. And now being in my third year here, I can definitely attest to that, and I trust his process very much.
With such an exciting season on the horizon, what are you looking forward to most?
Well, I'm excited about our team, and I think we have a great chance to do some great things this year. I think our leadership is there, and I think we really have some great size inside to really surprise some people. But personally, I'm excited for my mom and dad to see me play again. I know it's been a really long time, and they've been very patient, just as patient as I have been. And it's been almost 4 years since they've seen me play a basketball game. So for that, that's what I'm most excited about for sure.
That's a wrap from the Thunderdome. We look forward to seeing you on November 6th for the kickoff of an exciting season. For tickets, visit ucsbgauchos.com or call 805-893-UCSB.